What is up, everybody? Timberverse here today, and we have to talk about this nonsense right here. This has been on a timeline for the past 2 days about this whole Hi-Fi Rush situation. While this game is trending once again, apparently they're saying the game didn't do too well in sales-wise, and Hi-Fi Rush didn't make the money it needed to make. It is claimed. Now, who this is claimed from is a game journalist called by the name of Jeff Grubb. Apparently, they are his word is everything. It means more than what Microsoft and what people at the Tango GameWorks studio says about this game. Apparently, that his word is it just trumps over all that. Apparently, so these gaming journalists, man. It's like, why are we listening to these people? It's like, but this is the clip where this whole nonsense started from, where there's just so much negativity about this game now. Once again, Xbox can't manage studios. They have terrible marketing. Just anything negative just come out the words about Xbox. Let's just before I get into the clip, let's just read some of the negative comments people just had to state about this. What sales expectations would you have? Would you have for Shadow Drop games that came to Game Pass day one? It's been like 3 months. A game like this will be evergreen. And Microsoft didn't market the game whatsoever. They have pretty much set series consoles up for fail with zero AAA exclusives except for games people don't care about anymore, like Gears, Halo, and Forza. Like some more negativity. Well, Xbox were capping this game. I didn't even buy it. Too busy worried about a game that actually charted Forspoken. Still keep hope alive with that Forspoken, even though the game studio shut down. I'm sorry for this. This is the most funny and amazing game ever played on Game Pass. So he felt sorry that it didn't do well, according to what we heard from Jeff Grubb. Okay, so you see, it just sucks. It's a whole bunch. When you read this whole, there's just a whole bunch of negativity. We're gonna revisit this thread later. Just talk about the negativity that was just spread because of this guy's comments. There's his post, his words he made on this podcast right here or whatever. So Jeff Grubb, Hi-Fi Rush, based on what I've heard, it just didn't make the money it needed to make. Management is not happy with the state of Xbox. Commentary regarding any dissatisfaction with Xbox is more to be acknowledged and diagnosed issue it has because they matter. So this is the clip. It's a 2 minute long clip. I'm gonna play it, but I couldn't stomach listen to 2 minutes of this nonsense. But we're gonna play it and just dissect it because obviously he says one thing, but the people at the studio say something different. They said the game did well. So let's listen to this clip. This is what sparked all this controversy. Wait, let me see. Where's the clip at? What happened to the clip? Give me 1 second while I find the clip. Okay, here's the clip where they talk about Hi-Fi Rush in their podcast.
You get a win like Hi-Fi Rush, and I criticized before, like, why wasn't this something that was made into a big deal instead of just used as this shadow drop opportunity? I think if you made that a big deal, it would have been more impactful. It would have seemed more like a win.
Based on what I've heard, it just straight up didn't make the money it needed to make. And
I heard him say it. I don't claim who said it, but just from what I'm heard, like, what type of source is that? What type of credibility is that? I heard it just didn't make any money. Okay.
it got good reviews, the buzz was good. So where do you put the blame for something like that? And it's like, is it the price? Was it the shadow drop? Could it have sold more? Or is it Game Pass? It's like, what? This is something that I would love to ask Xbox about. It's like, you have Game Pass, which does incentivize a huge number of people to not buy games.
Once again with this nonsense, because Game Pass exists, Xbox gamers just don't buy games. Where do we hear that? Where do we hear that statement from? Sony fanboys. That's right, because Sony fanboys are the only people who've been downplaying how Hi-Fi Rush success. They've been saying the game didn't sell well because it didn't chart MPDs. And bragging about how Forspoken charted, but that game studio closed. So we can tell that game was a flop. Forspoken didn't do well. It game flopped. They not even a studio anymore. They got absolved back to Square Enix. But, that same narrative that Xbox gamers just don't buy games because of Game Pass is just ridiculous. Like, you might not buy a game day one and when it releases on Game Pass, but you're gonna buy other games with the savings you're getting from Game Pass. I don't know why that's such a hard concept to understand, that Xbox gamers do buy games. We're just not gonna buy games as day one on Game Pass because it doesn't make a lot of sense to do so. Like, I didn't see the same controversy about people not buying Stranger Things when it's in Netflix or any other big higher profile like movie when it's in a streaming service on the same day when it comes out in the theaters or whatever. So it's just fascinating how games it's just so doom and gloom about games being in a subscription service. But let's continue.
I know a lot of people end up buying other games. But I think a lot of people, they're happy to just play games in Game Pass. So, like,
So is he saying a lot of people? Is he trying to say the majority of people just buy games and just play games in Game Pass, don't buy games? Like, once again, this whole narrative is just dumb. And it's a start by Sony fanboys because they hate Xbox. They wish Xbox would go away. I don't know why. Because maybe because Xbox is competition to PlayStation. I don't know. It's just weird the hatred these guys have for some of these guys just have for Xbox is just weird. They don't push the game. They don't push the narrative that nobody buys games on Xbox. When it's reality, people do buy games on Xbox. They're just not gonna buy games if they want a Game Pass on Xbox. That doesn't make any sense to do so. Why would you do that? I ought to spend $70, $30 for a game when it's released on Game Pass if I got Game Pass already. It doesn't make any sense. But let's continue.
that behavior, if that behavior is not like justified, but like, well, at least they're in Game Pass, and so they're continuing to do stuff like, if these games also then need to perform in terms of sales, which it sounds like they do, or at least something needs to be, and maybe it's because they were expecting Halo to fill in that gap and be like this massive microtransaction machine, and that didn't happen and isn't happening and won't happen. Maybe all these other games are now.
Are you trying to say Halo's not successful now? That's what I'm trying to get. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. It's like, really. Oh man! So apparently, just Xbox, just the studios are just doing terrible. All the games are just doing terrible right now. Apparently, according to this guy.
Doing it, but it's like that's a weird. You're undercutting yourself.
Think management is happy with the state of Xbox right now?
I can tell you they are not. They just
they're
aren't.
not. They're upset. They're the ones who are upset.
Okay, that's kind of the point I kind of have to refrain from throwing up from the comment right there. He just says Xbox managers is so terrible. They're just so angry at how this game did. Well, let's look at the actual reality of the situation, not this game journalist's opinion. Okay, so apparently a email was sent out about Shinji Mikami leaving Tango Gameworks and the state of that studio ever since then. But the point that we want to talk about is the point right here. In the email, Vaughn called Hi-Fi Rush one of the most successful launches for Bethesda and Xbox in recent years. One of the most successful. Once again, we didn't see any disciple statement for a spoken game, which proves and how they just closed that studio. But this game did so well. This is one of the most successful games they had for Bethesda in years. Adding that the rhythm-based action game has generated significant positive momentum for the business and Tango. So this is something positive for Tango Gameworks, this Hi-Fi Rush game. And more to add to it. Microsoft has started the process of expanding Tango Gameworks, not closing down or absolving like Forspoken, but they are expanding Tango Gameworks Studios with almost 150 employees, open additional plus 30 new jobs. So this guy right here, where is he at? Let me see. This guy right here is full of crap. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He said the management is just unhappy. The game isn't doing well. He's fueling the Sony fanboys to post all this negative garbage on our social media. But the game is doing extremely well. So, once again, another week of doom and gloom. I don't know why Sony fanboys are so pissed off at Xbox. I don't know. I know what Phil Spencer, what Xbox did to these guys as children. Apparently, they never healed because these guys are ridiculous. It's always constant doom and gloom with Xbox. If you don't like Xbox, don't buy it. Don't pay attention to it. But you can't. You got to keep focusing and obsessing over Xbox. A constant claim to hate. You got these journalists posting this BS, posting constant BS about how Xbox is doom and gloom. And it's just ridiculous at this point. Like, give it a break. Stop listening to clowns like this who say Xbox is they're failing with their studios, how Game Pass is ruining gaming, how nobody's buying games off Game Pass. These are all stupid and dumb narratives that are not true. And this is the proof. The studio is expanding. Once again, they said in their own email, they said the game is doing well, one of their most successful games of all time. So I'm going to listen to the studio. I'm going to listen to the reports of them expanding studios over some random journalist who gets clout of being negative about Xbox. I don't know. Maybe because Sony fanboy following. I don't know. It's just real weird. But let's just see what this game journalist, what do you call it? The results of him spreading his BS about this game not doing well. $1 Game Pass effect. Let's see. Game Pass full of cartoony trash. Xbox didn't believe in it enough. That's why it's a shadow drop. based on what I've heard. So yeah, so even when you hear statements like that, you should be getting some red flags right there. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what sources exactly did you hear this from? But because they're game journalists and get away with a lot of nonsense that you'd be like, where are the proof for these sources that you're talking about? Which it's a game journalist, so it's all fine. It's like, negative Xbox news spreads like wildfire. Negative PlayStation news, however, doesn't even get reported, to be honest. Nobody really cares about negative PlayStation news. Like these, especially the game journalists, they don't report on negative PlayStation news in general. Like once again, when Last of Us dropped the bad PC port, I think still some outlets still didn't even cover it yet. I don't think the game is even be fixed. The port hasn't been fixed on PC at this point. And game journalists give their best quiet place impersonation because they haven't. They talked about that port being bad ever since. So toxic fanboys in this comment section, yes, they are definitely super toxic about Xbox in every comment section. Sure, Jan, you heard. Hi-Fi Rush outperforms for Spoken and Steam sales. Yeah, because when we first was hearing about this game, that's all I kept hearing about, how it's doing so well in Steam. It was doing amazing, insane in Steam. Like one of the top games on Steam when it came out. So it was just fascinating how, you had a lot of praise when it first came out. Then after a while, when it's like somebody gotta force some doom and gloom out there. You gotta put some Xbox doom and gloom out there eventually. Like, jeez. Let's see. Another example of Game Pass being a negative on the industry and led to some spicy brain rots. Oh man, just look at the negativity that this guy's comments have spread. Like, jeez. Forspoken still charting after 4 months. They're still bragging about Forspoken charting. Like, there's something not right at this point. Like, you obviously got some screws loose at this point if you're still bragging about Forspoken charting, where the studio no longer exists. Like, the studio is not existing anymore. You can't go to the studio and say, hey, I want to see this studio. The studio is gone. The studio is back into Square Enix now at this point. So, but it charted on MPD. That's all that matters, I guess. I mean, the studio can no longer exist. As long as it charts on MPD, that's all that matters to these guys, apparently. So yeah, once again, Jeff Grubb doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and Sony fanboys are just dumb. Still trying to get that W with Forspoken, but the dream is dead. That game probably most likely will not get a sequel. While Hi-Fi Rush probably will, because it did really well. So one of these games is going to get a sequel. One of the other games is going to be closed and probably not get a sequel. So let you figure out which one. So I'm going to include it right here. Stop listening to some of these game journalists, bro. I don't know why you put so much prestige to these game journalists, but a lot of these guys be talking out there like rear end most of the time. So I don't know. It's like this guy clearly has no idea what he's talking about. It's like it's been proof that, hey, this game did very well. They're most likely going to get a sequel. And I'm going to leave it as that. I'm tired of hearing this negative Xbox doom and gloom on a weekly basis from these guys. It's like, if you don't like Xbox, don't talk about it, but they can't help it. They have to talk about Xbox because PlayStation, apparently PlayStation ain't enough for these guys. They got to talk about Xbox too, so I don't know. But definitely want to see your thoughts down below. Leave a like for this video. As always, thanks for watching, and peace.